Hello friends and welcome to yet another video on Tutorialspoint with me Richa. Today under the campus to corporate module we will talk about telephone etiquette. Well, when you are in campus you have a very casual approach towards using of telephones. While it may be on the flashy ringtones that you have, or it could be talking for long on your mobile phone, etc. But when you come to a corporate culture, things change and you need to be aware of what are certain protocols and etiquette with regards to telephones. Let's get started on the agenda. We will talk in this module on taking calls, making telephone calls, what are certain do's and don'ts on a telephone, as well as what are certain cell phone etiquette you need to keep in mind in a corporate culture. Talking about taking calls. So whenever there's an incoming call, there are certain protocols you need to follow. Common reasons for inbound calls are for information. Somebody may call for inquiring certain information on your products or services, to speak to someone specific that they have work with, and also at times they may call to complain regarding something. So these are particular certain reasons why people have, you might get incoming calls. All incoming calls should be answered in a timely manner. Approximately between 2 to 3 rings, you should pick up an incoming call. If you delay the time of picking up an incoming call, it gives a message to your caller that you're not interested in serving them or you're not interested in speaking to them. Always have a pen and paper and a notepad handy whenever there's an incoming call. You might need to take down some notes, take down the name of the person, the company name, etc. And at times you cannot rely on your memory too much, and hence it becomes important to quickly jot down on a notepad pen, and that should be handy with you. Business telephones should always be answered with a good greeting like, "Good morning, ABC Company. Carol speaking, how may I help you?" So that sounds like a professional greeting to any incoming call which is coming in your office. If it's a repeat or a regular customer whom you know and whom you have spoken to before, it's always a good idea to check with them and ask them how they are and thank them for calling you and your company. Always thank the person for calling in whenever you have the opportunity. Always squeeze in a thank you to them. Now let's talk about making calls. So making outgoing calls also has to follow certain protocols in the corporate culture. Let's take a look at them. Whenever you're calling any other business or a company or an organization, it is proper etiquette to give your name and the company whom we are calling from to the person whoever is answering the telephone. Do not make them guess and do not try to dig in to get the information out of you. You yourself should be proactive and take the initiative to give out your name and your company's name. If you get the wrong number, for example, please do not hang up immediately. Apologize to the person who has picked up your call. Say something like this, that "I'm so sorry, I've got the wrong number. I apologize for the same." Do not just quickly hang up, because that shows disrespectfulness or lack of courtesy. While making an outbound call, please develop a professional greeting. Do not forget to introduce yourself. Do not just pick up the phone and say, "Hello, I want to speak to this person." First, always take your name and your company's name. Ask always if it's a good time to call or if it's a convenient time for that person. You never know, the person whom you've called might be busy in a task or might be sending out certain emails or might be in a meeting. So it's always a good idea to quickly check with them, is it a good time to speak with you? And also express gratitude for allowing you a few minutes of their busy schedule. It's always these small gestures which can really make or break an impression. If you do not get to speak to the person whom you had to speak to, always make sure that you leave a message with the person whom you've called. Make sure you leave your name, your company's name, and the message that you want to deliver to the person. Remember, even on a telephone, since you can't see the person, your voice, your tone really makes or breaks an impression of your company that you're representing. Now, friends, we're going to discuss certain do's and don'ts over a telephone etiquette and certain rules that you need to follow when it comes to using the telephone in your office. Be alert and attentive to the person whom you're speaking with. Your full attention should be on that person. Do not defocus or let your mind wander here and there. Never chew anything whenever you're talking on the phone. Please remember, people can hear you even though they cannot see you on a telephone. So any chewing sounds, if you're eating or munching on any snacks, the other person can really hear those noises in the telephone, and it shows a very casual attitude. If you wish to speak or rather put the person on hold, always seek their permission. Check with them if it's okay with them for you to put them on hold. Do not just put them on hold immediately. Always ask permission. Always return calls and messages within a reasonable amount of time. Now, this is a very important point, because if somebody has called for you and you are not there, it's always a good idea to return the call as soon as you can. Do not make the other person wait. Never speak on the speakerphone if you have people around you in your Bay Area, wherever you're working, until and unless they have to be a part of that particular call. Otherwise, please do not use the speakerphone option on your telephone. Speak clearly and slowly whenever you're answering a business telephone call. Do not mumble, do not eat up your words. Make sure that you sound clear and concise and absolutely in control of what you're saying. Do not eat up your words, do not mumble. Never be rude to a caller, no matter however rude or nasty the other person or the caller may be. You need to still maintain your decorum and politeness. We'll talk about certain cell phone etiquette now. In your office environment, it's important to have certain etiquette with regards to your mobile phones. Don't allow your cell phone to ring audibly in the office. Now, I find this point very, very relevant, because in my previous organization, a colleague of mine who used to sit next to me had a very loud ringtone, and it used to be really annoying and disturbing to everyone around us, because suddenly there was so much of noise. So always make sure that you put a very soft ringtone on your mobile phone, or rather, the best option would be to keep it on a vibrator mode. Use social media and other chat applications sparingly. I know your phone is your property, but your office timings belong to the office. If you're working 9 to 6 in an office and you use that time for flipping through Facebook or Amazon and ordering products for your personal use, that shows that you're misusing the office timings. Avoid long personal calls at home, in your office. If you have a long or a lengthy call, make sure that you cut it short and speak to them after the office hours. Speak softly and watch your language. Please understand that when you're working, you have other colleagues around you. So always make sure you speak softly and not in a loud tone. Avoid discussing confidential topics or personal topics in front of everybody. Please maintain confidentiality, and it's not a very good practice to talk about your personal, taking personal calls in your office hours. Avoid the use of cell phones when you are in face-to-face conversation with somebody. Again, it's rude etiquette or bad etiquette. Never text or send emails during the meeting hours or during business lunches, etc. Maintain that much of etiquette whenever you are on a lunch or a meeting. Please avoid texting or sending mails and messages that time. Well, to conclude this particular topic on telephone etiquette, telephones are an important part. They show, or rather give out, an impression of your brand that you're representing. It's important to understand these proper etiquette and proper protocols to be followed whenever you're using the telephone, either a landline phone or your mobile phone. I hope you have enjoyed listening to this particular module on telephone etiquette. Please make sure you follow all that was shared with you. Thank you once again for watching, and happy learning.